But unfortunately, we love to change our partners and we try to mold, and then we become what I call the pleaser. The pleaser is the man who's kicking ass in business, but at home, he becomes the yes man. Why? Because he doesn't have the bandwidth to fight. And then the pleaser stops being a leader. Doubt comes in, uncertainty, and guess where that seeps in later on? Business.
Yeah, because it's all connected. Welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the shorter, more profitable path to multifamily ownership and investing. Everybody, it's Darren with special guest Raul Villacis. I'm glad you're here, brother. I'm glad you're here for this episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place for all things multifamily. And start by spending maybe just a couple of minutes just telling those people that might not be familiar with who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you for having me in your new headquarters, man. A new podcast studio. I love it.
A lot of responsibility, new headquarters, man. I got to bring the best on to get things to christen the headquarters right.
I'm honored. I'm the first guest on the new podcast studio.
There you go.
Love it. So my background's in real estate. I went to real estate brokerage for the last 27 years. We do property management and asset management for banks. That has been my niche for the last, I would say, 15, 18 years. But the last 10 years, I pivoted into coaching and consulting, mainly because real estate for me was just an investment tool. It wasn't really fulfilling my purpose. It wasn't fulfilling my passion. I was getting drained. I went to a tunnel. I was drinking every single day just to force myself to go to the office. I mean, you know some of the stories that I've said. And I went to a dark place. Even though I was making money, even though my real estate properties, continued to produce, I felt like there had to be more in life than just making money. So I went to this journey for about 2 years. I spent $500,000 trying to find what my purpose was, digging deep, doing the inner work. And from there, I realized that my passion and my purpose is to really help men find their edge. I didn't know that then, but I know it now. What happened to me is I lost my edge. I lost my purpose. I lost my drive. I lost my motivation. So I had to find a way to get it back. And since then, I've been helping men like you, like hundreds of others, men, like thousands now, the last 10 years, dialed in what gives me the edge? What gives me the edge? What do I need to do every single day to sharpen that edge so I could become a better father, better husband, a better entrepreneur, and a better leader? So that sums up why I'm here.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that and appreciate you. So let's kind of now pivot back to the investment side of things. If you were to come up to investors just on the street and you'd say, hey, do you want to be a successful investor? They're going to, of course, say yes. And then if you say, okay, well, give me the top 2 or 3 things that you need to do to be a successful investor. You got to pick the right investment, or in our case, you got to pick the right property, the right location, the right tenant mix. So all of these things would come up. But what never really comes up or is discussed is the relationship that investors have with either their husband or their wife, and how much impact that has on them being a successful investor. So let's talk about that. What are you seeing, I'll just say out there, especially now, when it comes to a lot of attitudes in terms of being married, having that right person in your life? What are you seeing out there right now?
First of all, I had the privilege of coaching men for the last 10 years. So I can only speak from all the thousands of men that I've talked to in the last 10 years. I don't know the women's side because that's a whole different mindset. Right. But I've been married for the last 35 years. So my wife also coaches women. So she gives me some insights of how women operate when it comes to being married to entrepreneurs. So the first step, I'll tell you, men, we have this belief that money solves all our problems.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And I've coached billionaires and men who have hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate and hundreds of dollars in the bank, and they realize that money just expands your problems. It's not going to solve them. It just expands. So if you're an asshole that's broke, you're going to be a bigger asshole with money, right? So now in a relationship, you don't attract who you want. You attract who you are. So we attracted the partner based on where we were. But I know you and I have been blessed that we grew with our partner. Like my wife grew. She's not the same person as she was 25 years ago when we got married. I'm not the same man as I was 25 years. And we were lucky that we both grew. But it came a point, Darren, that we were not growing. When I realized, it's like, man, you spend so much time and energy building an empire, building a business, and then I'm going to lose half because I'm not willing to put in the work and trying to reinvent myself. So a lot of men, what they do is they quit. A lot of women, what they do is they quit, not realizing that who you married is probably the biggest decision you're going to make. And if you marry somebody or have a partnership with somebody that's not willing to grow with you, it will hinder your blessings. When I look back and all the times, all these years that I've coached men, I truly could look at their relationship with their wives and see the patterns and why they either succeeding or they're failing in their business or why they're losing the edge.
You know, it's interesting when you said money solves all problems, that we think that. If I make a lot more money or I work a lot more harder, all of that's just going to solve all the problems. So with Gina and I, we were pretty much stuck. And a big reason why that was my focus in making our relationship better, as good as it can be, was, well, shit, I'll just make more money. You know, I'll just bring more money in. I'll just work harder. And man, you hit the nail right on the head. That's not right.
So how do we change it, right? How do we change? So I'll tell you, right, what I've done in the last 15 years is I've taken time to invest in my relationship. Because I realized that if I invest in marketing, if I invest in my employees, if I invest in my personal development, my business is going to grow. But if we don't invest in our relationship, if we don't invest the time, energy, and money, just a matter of time that we're going to drift apart. So I'll tell you what changed with Vivian and I. About 15 years ago, we were in this beautiful setting in the beach. And I looked at her and I asked her one simple question. Are you happy? And then I don't know what got into her that she told me the truth. Because this is what happens a lot of times when you're married, you're not honest to each other. Yeah, of course I'm happy.
You thought the answer, well, I'll go ahead because I got a feeling.
So she dropped the bomb. She goes, Raul, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. And I decided to tell her the truth also. Like, I love you, but I'm not happy. It's the same place. But we were feeling stuck. We felt like there was another level, but we couldn't get ourselves to go to a level because we were so comfortable at the level that we were in. Yeah. But we truly had an honest conversation. One of the things I realized is that we've been taught to be each other's better half. She's my better half. I'm her better half. And for us to complete each other. And that's unfair in a relationship because you're not going to marry an employee. You don't have the luxury to fire that person if it doesn't work out. You gotta be your own man, and she has to be her own woman, and then together you become empowered. When I truly understood that I couldn't change my wife understood that she couldn't change me, and then if I could love her the way she is, that she could love me the way that I am, then we could create magic. But unfortunately, we love to change our partners, and we try to mold, and then we become what I call the pleaser. The pleaser is the man who's kicking ass in business, but at home, he becomes the yes man. Why? Because he doesn't have the bandwidth to fight.
I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to really deal with it or deal with the drama. So, yeah, 100%.
And then the pleaser stops being a leader. Doubt comes in, uncertainty, and guess where that seeps in later on? The business.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's all connected.
It's all connected. So the moment that you don't have a strategy to have the right partner, first having the right partner, knowing that you're going to be a different person, then having the real and raw conversations to see, checking in with each other and understanding that there is no perfect human being. But the only one you control is you.
You mentioned a couple of really, really interesting things there. And I guess the first question I would ask you is the impact that the relationship with your wife has on other areas of your life. I don't think especially a lot of men really internalize just how important that is. And I'm not just necessarily talking about the conversations that I've had with married men, but also men that aren't married and the drama and the things that might be going on with this girlfriend, this, that, and things aren't going well in the business. Or, maybe they've suddenly put on 15 pounds, or all of a sudden they can't get to sleep. And a lot of that centers back to what you said with the importance of that connection. And talk a little bit about that, because I know that you've worked with a lot of men in this area, and talk a little bit about how related all of that is and the impact that all of that really has on like the global picture for a man. Talk about that.
So first, as men, we love to measure things. We measure our business based on how much money we have in the bank account or investments, right?
Keeping score.
We measure our health based on how much we could bench or exercises that we could do, right? Two areas that we cannot measure is a spiritual connection and the relationships. Why? Because that's out there, right? So we focus on the things that we can measure that gives us certainty. I realize that if I don't have certainty in my relationship, it's going to cost me millions of dollars. And vice versa, if I have certainty in my relationship, it's going to make me millions of dollars. So because we're a man, we always have to look for the man brain in the back of our heads to tell that brain is if you don't have a date night with your wife, if you don't pay attention to your wife, it's going to cost you money. So that way the man brain could say, okay, it's good. Okay, I'm going to take some time. Because if we don't make those connections, it's just going to be emotions, right? Just know having the right partner, it just expands you. It just takes you to a whole different level. Why? Because you don't have to worry about all the stuff, dating and all the leaks of energy that's out there, right? And if you have a wife and if you have somebody that loves you, Ben, you're ahead of the game. All you have to do is really create boundaries. We created a reality that we live in that I get my needs met and she gets her needs met, and therefore we both empower and we do great things.
The interesting thing is a lot of, I'll just say, couples have a hard time even getting to the point of having that conversation. And then there's a lot of mind reading going, there's a lot of that. And I think that is just so important to have those kinds of conversations. And there's no mystery.
But you gotta look at relationships as a added value into your business, because everything is integrated. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So I always I stopped looking for balance because I was failing at being a balanced man. When I was in the office, I was feeling guilty. I should be at home with the kids. I should be at home with my wife. When I was at home with my family, I feel guilty. I should be in the business. I should be, conquering more dragons, right? I didn't realize that in life, there is no balance, there's integration. If with my kids and my wife, I'm all in with my kids and my wife. I give them the time. So that way I could fill up their cup and then I could do what I need to do. If I'm in my business, I'm all in my business. And that's how integration happens. That's what changed the game on us when it comes to leading the family.
Speaking of leading the family, there is a lot of information out there about how men should not have a relationship with one woman, should not be married, but should have relationships with many women. And as a result, have as many kids as you possibly can, with as many women as you possibly can. I totally disagree with that, because what I've discovered is how having one woman in your life, how much more power you have as a man when you have that one woman behind you, supporting you, in your corner, being there. And I'm not saying in a totally submissive way. I'm not saying in a do whatever you want to kind of way, but I mean as an anchor, I guess. So where I'm going with that is, are you seeing the same things out there that I'm seeing? And give me an idea kind of what your take is on that.
It's just the way that the culture is creating a standard that it's okay for you to be irresponsible. It's okay for you not to commit. So what I see is a lack of commitment. What does that tell me if I'm a man who has a bunch of women? Can I provide for them? Okay. How many people do you see out there that are providing for every single one of their baby mamas, right? There's always drama, right? So tell me, if you show me a father that has worked for and he has great kids, great relationships with every single woman, then I could probably consider, okay, you know what, that might be a good way of life. Right. But I don't know that nobody comes to mind that has multiple wives, multiple kids with different women that have a great relationship. And I don't know about you, but I have a hard time handling one woman, not multiple, right? So it is not impossible, I will say, but where we live in the culture right now, I think that in order for a man to fulfill his purpose, we need to have focus. And if we could focus in one thing, like in your business, if you could focus, we talked about the niche in your market, right? Me, 10 years ago, I focused. I wasn't coaching everyone. I started coaching everyone and realized I need to have a niche, focusing on coaching men and going deep and dialing in my value proposition. Same thing with your wife. If you focus on one, making her happy and seeing if those are, you're connected, it's going to pay off tremendously. Why? Because where your focus goes, energy goes. You have a lot of women, there's a lot of energy that's going to leak, and you're not going to know who you are. So I take a little bit from everything, right, and I put it together, and I realize that most men that are happy and they're successful, they focus on having one relationship and double down on that relationship.
Yeah, I want to ask you one last thing, and just to kind of come full circle here, we started this conversation by talking about being a successful investor and how the relationship that you have with your wife, especially, is such a key to being a successful investor. Because as we talked about, it all counts. And one of the things that you talked about was, and I obviously agree, is how important it is to have the right woman in your life, and not only to be that successful investor, but to be a successful man. So with all of the men that you've coached over the years, and I'll let you either go down the road of maybe 2 or 3 the biggest mistakes you've seen men make in terms of choosing that person that they think is someone that that they want to spend their life with, or maybe 2 or 3 things that they've done right. So when it comes to all of the men that you've coached and all of the results that you've seen, talk about things that our audience should be thinking of in terms of keeping in mind when it comes to making that decision of who they really want to have in their life.
So I give you a couple of frameworks. Number one is love is not enough. So when you start looking at a relationship and if the love or the physical is the only thing that you have going, eventually, as you get older, love is not enough. The second is realizing that we change every 5 to 10 years. Women tend to follow the lead of the man as he grows. If the man doesn't grow and the woman grows, becomes a big challenge, because now the man resents the woman because the man is supposed to be, in his mind, leading, right? So just be aware that who you are right now, you're not going to be the same person 5 years from now. And the third is, if you can accept that person for who they are right now, you shouldn't be together, because they're not going to change. Like if you cannot love that person for who they are, if you're thinking he's going to change one day or she's going to change one day, it's not going to happen. That's arguing with reality. If you could love her the way she is, if you could love him the way he is right now, then you have a chance to evolve and grow. But it's like if I buy a property and say, one day I'm going to make money on this property, okay, I might make money on this property, but what if I don't make money on the property? Am I going to still pay the mortgage? Am I still gonna or am I gonna complain?
That's really great insight, because I was thinking as you were talking about, especially the point about changing every 5 to 10 years. Yeah, I'm changing. I'm not the same as I was 5 years ago. I'm not the same as I was 10 years ago. That's exactly right. And knowing that, man, that's huge.
And that should be exciting.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be like, oh, he's gonna change, she's gonna change. No, that should pull you guys to change for the better. Because also some people change for the worse. So now, like, change doesn't mean that it's gonna be good or bad. It's just what it is. It's inevitable. But the moment that you anticipate the change, you can start putting things in place that we're actually gonna change for the better, and we're gonna evolve together, as opposed to you do your thing and I do my thing.
Well, hey, thank you. This has been a great episode. And I know that a lot of our viewers and listeners probably tuned in and watched this, not really expecting what we talked about to be a key to being a really good, multifamily or investor in general, but just how much impact having the right person in your life consistently has.
It's the biggest investment you're going to make in your life is investing in your partner.
Yeah. I mean, awesome. So thank you. Appreciate you for being here. Great insight, man. Appreciate it. And I want to thank you for being with us on this episode, this connection episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place for all things multifamily. Thank you. Bye-bye. If you want to get your hands on more great multifamily real estate content, make sure you click here. If you want to invest passively in great multifamily real estate, make sure you click here.